I am your host, Amour Carthy, and today's episode is sponsored by Education Innovations, where we help guide families through education decisions from college and graduate admissions to life beyond. The purpose of this podcast is to help you all understand what college is like and help to expose you to different careers that you might be interested in. Today's episode features Ruben, and it's titled MIT Doesn't Fix Everything. So without further ado, let's bring on Ruben. Hey Ruben, how are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. So tell us what school you're representing.
Yeah, so I'm representing the Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
And so what does that stand for short? Because I know you don't walk around saying that whole entire,
Yeah,
school title.
yeah, I go to MIT.
Okay. So can you also tell us what's your classification and what are you majoring in?
I'm a current third year, and I'm majoring in mechanical engineering with a concentration in computer science.
Let me ask you another question. Why do you say third year instead of a junior?
I don't know. I am a junior. I think it's just like, yeah, I actually don't know. It just felt like it rolled off the tongue a little bit better.
Okay, because I don't want you to stay there longer than you have to. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah.
So you said you are mechanical engineering and what?
Computer science.
And computer science. So that's what you're majoring. What does that even mean?
I guess in terms of like the day to day, or which
Not
part?
day to day. Like what? What do you like when you say you are studying computer science? What are you trying to do? After with that? What are the kind of things that you learn? And then maybe mechanical engineering, because I think that some young folks or just, people don't understand that there are different kinds of engineering, right? Because
Mhm.
there's computer engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering. So, this may be their first time understanding that there's different kinds of things.
Yeah, so I guess like in terms of what I would like to be doing with it afterwards is primarily like in that robotics space. Also, since I'm like in my junior year, I've kind of been, I guess, like shifting a little bit and like trying to find the specific, like, I guess, specialization within engineering because, like you mentioned, like there's different subfields, but then even within those are kind of like broad categories. So within like like I would say I'm primarily mechanical engineering, and then the computer science is a supplement, and
Hmm.
so it's primarily looking like CAD design and or like designing the robotic system, and then the computer science aspect comes in when like writing the programs that control those. And so I guess like a recent project I worked on, for example, like my sophomore spring, was I had built a robot, and so like my primary like work was done on SolidWorks, and then like drafting what I wanted the robot to be and or do, and doing I guess like the um, finite element analysis to like see if it could like bear the loads, etc. And then I followed it up with attaching a microcontroller that it was like an Arduino spinoff, and then like I was using their IDE and like coding it to be able to do everything I wanted.
Okay, very interesting. So I know that you are originally from Florida.
Mhm.
Um, and you're telling us about mechanical engineering, computer science, and you're from Florida. Like at what point did you know that you wanted to or you were interested in robotics and computer science? Did you have a love for it? Or what incident happened that you were like, ooh, like that's my jam?
I think it was a mix of a couple things. Like growing up, I was always like the Y kid. Like I had like an affinity for like math and science in particular. I think they were like tools to help me like look at the world around me and like get those answers for myself. Like why does it rain, for example? Like oh, because precipitation, etc., etc. But I guess like
Mhm,
with mechanical engineering or like robotics, what had
mhm,
really got me was in my middle school. I was a part of an academy or like it was like pre IT, and so
mm,
that's where I first got exposed to I guess like coding and like technology and like those sorts of things. And
mhm,
it wasn't like a specific, I think, like incident or project, but like I think like that constant exposure mixed
mhm.
with for me like how I got to like mechanical engineering in particular was kind of like top down. Like I was thinking of it from a space of like I need a career that is going to give me like job security that uses like the skills I have available to me, and like mechanical engineering like aligned with those.
Okay. And so you, of course, you said stability, and then like I know that we talked, before this.
Mhm,
You are a first generation college student, right?
mhm.
So, how, you know, you've wanted to go to college. Like, how did you say, like, I want to go to college? We know it's partly, because you wanted stability, but also because you were interested in these things, and you can't not go to college and become a mechanical engineer or do all these things. So, tell me more about that kind of things and how you got interested and how you got to where you are.
Yeah, so I guess like the decision or like realization that I would need to go to college was really like me working backwards. So like after deciding like okay, mechanical engineering makes sense as something to do. I guess like
Hmm.
out of stepping a little bit back, it was like okay, lawyer, doctor, engineer. Out of these three, which one makes the most sense to do? And then I picked engineering because I'm like okay, college for me was always like this is going to be a means to an end. So it's like if I have to go, I guess. But like I've like it was I think so like understanding that I would need to go to college in order to be able to get the career was how I decided to go.
Mm, okay. And then, did you say like, "Oh, I want to go to MIT," or did you pick a whole bunch of different colleges to apply to? Did you visit before? Like, how did that come about?
Yeah, so MIT was really, I think, like the big name I like latched onto. And then
Hmm.
outside of that, I wasn't, I guess, like as educated on like the college admissions process, I guess, as like some of my peers. And so
Hmm.
if like other than MIT, like Caltech, Georgia Tech were on my radar, FAMU because I was in Florida. Um, but my like actual college list ended up being slightly shorter than I think most people's, mostly because like by the time I graduated as a senior, I was kind of like, I'm either going to the original target slash like to me what I had like perceived to be like the top, or I'm going to
Hmm.
go to like the University of Central Florida, have my 2 years of college already done, have it be paid for, and like be done with school as soon as possible and start
Mm.
making that income.
So wait, when you said Central Florida, is that a 4 year or a community?
It's a 4 year. It's a 4 year
Okay.
university. It was just
Okay. So you were, say it again.
I was saying it was a 4 year university. It was just I guess like the way I was perceiving it as like somewhat the like simpler option.
Oh, okay. I thought you were also like thinking, huh, you know what, it's a little bit cheaper and then I
Yeah,
could get to the money.
yeah.
I don't know why I'm thinking in terms of songs, get to the money. But at any rate, what were some of the things that you did in high school? Were you in any robotic programs or anything like that?
Yeah, I was on SECME, which I forget the acronym, but it was like a science project sort of team. Other than that, my most of my like robotics activity was like personal projects, but that and I was I guess like in a academy similar to like middle school, but I guess a bit more like specified called like the math science and like engineering program.
Mm. So you're always on the path if you were in that program. So um what were you like um in high school? Yeah, what were you like in high school?
Um, I think I was motivated. Like if somebody were to describe me, I would say like internally motivated would come up. I was like very busy. I think I yeah no I definitely had a lot of friends like and was like calling yourself like socially popular is like I think corny, but like I knew a lot of
Why
people
is it corny? So
because
you
I
were
feel like
popular?
I guess so like I knew a lot of people, but I feel like if you call yourself popular, like you're not like you're doing too much. But
No, I don't think so. I was homecoming queen.
real.
Yeah, I mean, so you were popular. Did you play any sports too? So what sports did you play?
Yeah, I was playing basketball, volleyball, and I was running track and field like during the spring. So
Okay,
that's
you were super busy.
yeah.
How did you balance everything?
Honestly, I think I don't know. Looking back on it, it seemed like just normal to me. But I think it was like I would be waking up early, staying up late, and like the times that I had off time, for example, like during lunch during high school, it's like all right, I'm gonna go like knock out some homework so that I don't have to do this at like 11 p.m. later. or like when I'm like riding the bus to and from school or like to like basketball games, like I would try to get it in where I could fit it in, you know?
Hmm. I mean, I'm sorry when my eyes opened big. I just remember I played basketball too, and
Mhm.
just playing, just practice nights 8 o'clock, game nights 11 o'clock. My grades tanked, and I know that your grades didn't tank. Like, I just was like, how am I going to do all of this? And I loved basketball. And I did. I did several sports, but not as many as you. But just to balance all of that, kudos to you. Like, you were a busy person and you were driven, but I like how you weren't just all in the books and that you
Yeah.
did something else. Did you continue that while you are at MIT? Because I do believe that it's very important for young folks not to just be going to school, but to take care of their mental, physical, and emotional health. So, how do you do that right now?
Mental, physical, and emotional health. My mental health, I would say the most useful strategies I found are like journaling and meditating, and like the physical exercise I believe like goes hand in hand with it. So like making sure that I have like a structured morning routine where it involves physical activity, like work, like the gym and running for me in particular are really useful. Also, yeah, like playing rec basketball. I'm gonna be honest, I did definitely fall off like when I first got here, but like trying to
Mhm.
like bring that back, like to the degree that I have made time for it, it has definitely like improved my life. Um, Mental, physical, and spiritual. So physical health, I touched on a little bit of that. I think, yeah, like trying to stay consistent with that has probably been like the main like challenge, and
Mhm.
I think I've been like managing that pretty well. Spiritual health, again, like the journaling has been very helpful. Also, like the time I spend in community and like time I spend giving back. I think like community work and like I guess like another thing I do outside of like my schoolwork is like I create content and like I guess act in a mentorship sort of role to like people who like solicit help or advice from me. And I think that's been like that is some of the more like spiritually fulfilling and like aligned moments of my day or semester, like when I can like find myself helping somebody.
So you smiled a lot when you talked about that as opposed to everything else. Um, when did you start getting into like helping or creating content or mentoring people? How did that come about? What made you just say, I need to do this?
Yeah, so this was like originally I started posting content January of 2024, but that was I think there was like a shift I remember happening like later on because when I
Mhm.
first started it was mostly from like a I started it from a business perspective like oh I need to generate leads for this SAT math business that I'm doing because I need to be able to pay for my tuition because that's a whole
Oh.
different story about like dealing with freshman year. But
Oh,
I
no, we
think
could talk about that later then, because that's
yeah.
important.
But so yeah, originally I came at it from like a I think like my heart wasn't fully in it. I was doing it very much like from my head. And then I
Mhm.
think that summer after like I had that rough freshman year, I was like looking back on both like okay, the way I was approaching it, the mistakes I made that freshman year that I would like to be able to help people navigate if they were coming from it like from behind me. And so
Mhm.
I think that's like the shift that started and then that's when like I really I think started like acting more in that like mentorship sort of place.
Mm. So, what have been your most proud moments, of your mentees? Like, what are, one of the most proud moments that you're just like, man, that made me feel real good. I can't believe like I was able to do that.
Yeah, I think the very first one, not that I probably can't even remember the very first one, but like the
Mhm.
one first one that like sticks out into my head was like their current class of 29. But when I was like in my sophomore year, I was talking to them about like their MIT application and their Caltech application. And I remember it was that I think it was like that winters when I was helping them, and then that spring like Pi Day, I get like an
Mhm.
Instagram message from me, and they're like tweaking out. They're like, "Ruben, da, 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 bro, I effing did it, da, 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 da." And like the thing that like stuck with me was like, "Oh, like bro, you literally changed my life." And I'm like, "Bro, that's crazy." Ah. And that I think that like was really nice. Um,
Do you think that they didn't believe, and you help them believe in themselves?
I no, I believe. I think they would have gotten in without me, but I like maybe in their head, but like I believed in them the whole time. So like for I don't
Right.
know, I can't even like concede that they didn't believe in themselves. But yeah.
It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. I believe we're needed. Like I do similar work. I feel
Mhm.
like we're the hype masters, and and if you think about the world, right? If you don't
Mhm.
believe in yourself, nobody else will. So I'm about to hype you up.
Big facts.
Right. Now you started talking about freshman year. How
Mhm.
has what was that transition like from high school to MIT for you? And then when you talk about it, I also want you to talk about it coming from the South versus the North because those are two different places.
Yeah. So in a word, that transition was rough. I'm a, but I guess like the different angles or like reasons why. One,
Mhm.
from like a pure temperature slash like environmental perspective, like you said, coming from this like South Florida in particular, the sunshine state, to where it doesn't shine. The sun goes down at 4 p.m. for like 3 out of the 6 months that I'm here as a student, and so that
Wow.
was like really rough, I guess, adapting. And like I hadn't even noticed it really until like I got back home and like got to readjust. But
Mm.
that in tandem with like the additional like rigor increase that came from like being in high school to like somewhere like MIT,
Mhm.
and also like being okay, these go like they're like all connected too.
Mhm.
Being a person of like Haitian descent going to
Mhm.
somewhere that is a PWI, and also like being from South Florida, the demographics of where I was coming from was also very much immigrant background, like Afro Caribbean individuals, and so it was a culture shock, I would say, to
So
say
was your school mostly Afro Caribbean?
mm, no, but there was definitely a higher percentage, and I think it was just like even if I feel like it was more of the school was the outlier as opposed to I think within Boston it's like oh yeah the water we're swimming in is more so like the school. Whereas like when I was in high school, it's like, oh, this school is like a pale spot within the overall community.
Mm. So the it was the weather, the demographics, and then would you say like even the etiquette about how people interact with each other no matter what nationality?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, talk about that. I don't think people understand that.
Yeah, and I think like to that point of like I think the South is a very different place. There's like a level of Southern hospitality, and also like I don't want to I guess like use like vulgar language, but like the way I would like make the distinction in my
I
head is
mean,
like
if you have to, you have to. It's okay. I mean, like it is what it is.
but in my head that like the way I would describe it is like there's a difference between niggas and African Americans, and I personally came from niggas, and so it's like not even and I don't know. Part of it is like not trying to use it as a pejorative word, but like the way I would describe and like the way I talk and like the way I act and like the way like my mannerisms, et cetera, are very much not of like born from money. And like coming to the northeast in particular, and like having these sorts of like the Jack and Joe kids and whatnot, it's like oh I see my people, but I don't necessarily feel my people. And like there's a bit of like that self-internalized racism, especially given the fact that like okay, like if you're going to be at this more like elite or rigorous prestigious institution, more likely than not, the people you were coming up around, like you're probably at a private school or something like that, and like your demographics are probably white, etc. You might have been like you're their black friend, and it's like it
Oh,
shows.
so you're talking about classism.
Yes, I believe so.
Classism.
Yeah.
I so I was also thinking about just too, like in the South, how you usually greet people like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like
Yeah.
no matter who you are, and then you go up north, and they just walk straight past you. Like you're like, you saw me,"
Mhm.
but that's not the custom. So not only do you have the like the class thing too amongst Black folks, you also have just in general in the general society the not greeting each other. That I I'm it resonates with me too because I was a first generation and I wasn't of those circles. Um, have you learned to just say F it? Whatever, I belong. Like, I'm gonna talk to you. I want to know about your experience. Was it like, was it interesting to learn about what their life was like going to school with these folks and what they think?
Yeah, so I think like the my approach or I guess attitude towards it has like changed over time. When
Mm-hmm.
I first got here, there's definitely I think the instinct to conform. I think to like what I thought I should be. Um, both within I guess like the I think like it was more stark within like MIT as like a community overall, and then I think it propagated I guess like even to a smaller degree within like the Black community as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like originally it was like, oh, like my instinct was like, okay, put it away, use like the code switch or whatever. But as I've like continued to be here, the more I've like come to the realization that like my difference or idiosyncrasies are like the superpower. And like,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of however you might perceive the way I speak, it's not from a place of a lack of intelligence. It's just I talk like this because I'm a product of my environment, but I'm, we're still going band for band in the class. So like, it don't really matter to me.
So, have you had or people say to you like, "Oh, don't do that," or "Don't embarrass us," or you
I've
went like
had
this, like something has happened. You want to tell us something?
Yeah, and it was like okay, like this was like freshman year too, which is really funny. I remember like people were like, "Oh yeah," for a good portion. I was just like, it was like me and my other my other friend John, who was
Mm-hmm.
also like a 6'3" black man, and so they're like, "Oh yeah, we were just like scared of you guys." This is from like
Oh.
other. This is like I think like there's a predominantly female like black female organization and there's a predominantly a black male organization, and they're just like, oh yeah, yeah, we like even I'm like I guess like I remember talking to him about it like, dang, I thought we were cool, like if anything I thought like the black people were supposed to have each other's back, and they're like, oh yeah, nah, we thought y'all were just some hard R's YNs. I'm like, damn, preach
Oh.
preach.
So you're saying that they made stereotypes of you and then you all made stereotypes of them, like, so, or
No,
no? No?
nah,
Okay. So they
it
made
was
stereotypes of you all, but you were willing to approach them and they just had y'all all messed up?
I wouldn't even say it was the monolith. Like there was like I guess like existing relationships between the organizations, but I would say like specifically me and my friend in
Mhm.
particular were I
Mhm.
guess like looked at as additional threats, as not even threats. That's crazy, but like because of me and him were both I guess like from like more urban backgrounds,
Mhm.
and like I had like not even dreads. I had like two strand twists, and like I'm
Mhm.
a tall black man. And they're like, oh, we thought you guys were like scary. I'm like, that's kind of crazy.
That's weird.
And like, yeah, I'm
That's
like, but I wouldn't even say that that was like particularly like egregious incident. Like it wasn't like I took that like too bad, I would say.
Was that your first time experiencing that from people who looked like you?
Yeah,
Yeah. That's so have you ever experienced when people look like you don't say hi to you?
yeah, but
Did you
um
experience it down south or up north?
up north. But I think I don't know. I guess this is like me like in the mentality that I've been like approaching it with now is like trying to extend grace. Like I guess
Yeah.
also within like the MIT community, I think the tendency for individuals to be on like the spectrum is higher, and so like I
Mhm.
think that also like plays a role to it.
What do you mean by the spectrum? I like what you're saying, the spectrum.
Like I think MIT has a higher population of people who are on the spectrum for autism.
Ooh. Talk talk more about that. I mean, I know about that because I be helping people get into school. And everybody tries to hide it. I feel
Crazy.
like a lot of people try to hide that. But again, I'm a former person who has studied neuroscience and brain theory that I can just pick up on certain things. Tell me more about that right there.
Um, I'm not sure. I guess like in my head, I don't know what I should elaborate on specifically, because for me it just seems like such a like, oh yeah, that I just like internalize that about like the school because it's like it seems so obvious, I guess.
So how do you know that people are on the spectrum? Is it that you were around people that are on the spectrum before going to school, so that you kind of can pick up on the cues?
Yeah, and also I guess it's um like it's not like I think stigmatized, so it's like people I don't think are like particularly uncomfortable talking about it, and so it's just like yeah, I'm not particularly surprised by it.
Well, I like that you brought that up because I'm not trying to be funny, but I think that a lot of parents try to hide that about their children.
Hmm.
And a lot of young folks actually try to hide um, that because they think that it'll keep them from, excelling or doing well. But you've all, you by you sharing that shows that anybody can go to these institutions. You just have to do what you need to do to get where you need to be and be there. Um, so have you joined any groups on campus, and what are they like? Tell us more about the groups that you've joined on campus.
Yeah, so I'm a part of an organization called Nesby, which is really nice. I'm also a part of an organization called Student Events Board. I'm a part of the Martin Trust Center's Board of Student Advisors. I was also a student advisor for the Media Lab for a little while, and yeah, those are I guess like the different I guess things I'm involved with. Do you have like anything you want to
I
hear
do
about?
have some questions
Yeah.
about that because you said all those acronyms. Nobody knows what they are. Can you tell us what each group does? So the folks know.
Yeah. So NSBE stands for the National Society of Black Engineers, and essentially it's a professional development club, but also it's just a place to be in community that I really appreciate. So we have like company events where they come and like not just offer jobs, but also like put us on game about like navigating the professional workspace. There's also like the NSB Nationals Conference. That is like I think honestly one of like my highlights of the year in organization because not only like seeing the same people from like your chapter, but you get like that national like community, which is
Hmm.
really nice. Um, the student events board is essentially we do like large scale events for and by MIT students. And
Hmm.
so during the fall semester, we do something called Fall Fest, which is pretty much like a farmers market outdoors, like student groups perform, sort of like cozy fall, like sweater weather vibe. And then
Hmm.
also during like the winter months, like during finals week, we do something called Tech Twinkles, which also has like student performances as well
Hmm.
as we give away free mugs. And this year we did like a ugly sweater contest sort of thing. And then in the spring we have a like large scale contest, not contest, concert and carnival.
You have a concert.
Mhm.
So who's performing at the concert?
I cannot say just yet. We're still
Oh, you're having like a large concert. Oh, I thought
yeah.
you guys were just playing like, oh, yeah, some people, they do a little R&B, some people do a little country. I no, so you guys have real acts?
Yeah, like I don't know if you could see back there, but there's like a Dochi poster that was like 2023. She like came. It was like right before she like won the Grammy. So like
Are
now
you
she's
serious?
like,
Wow. Like I'm all in like in awe. I thought it was just a little organization. Okay. That's amazing. Mm. So, I mean, there's so much that you shared with us. And then you said, I mean, most people like, with the title of your episode is MIT doesn't fix everything. What did
mm,
you think that MIT was going to be? And then, how did it differ?
yeah. So I think what I thought it was going to be, I don't even know if that was like the most fully formed in my head. Like
Mhm.
I, honestly, like I think I thought it was going to like fix all my problems. Not necessarily so, but it was like what I had like put at the top of this like mountain or pedestal for myself like my entire I think like adolescence. And so
Mm,
I hadn't even really stopped to consider like what life would be like after because it was such the big hurdle of like even getting in. And so I
mm,
think I in my head like I don't think I had like fully even like fleshed out what it would be, but it was just like okay, this is the answer to the problems of like get out of Florida, so like get out of the household that I grew up in, and it's like, I, yeah. And so I thought it would be an escape from the household I grew up in, which it was. I would definitely give it that.
Okay. So, no, thank you for that. I think sometimes too, for many folks, it's a way. I always used to say too, for some folks, it's a way to get out of their situations, and that sometimes they may also need to think about what is life going to be like when they get there so that they can thrive,
Mhm.
or just not even just thrive, but like how do you prepare for what it's going to be like when it's different over there? Because you're going to need different social skills, and maybe you were just surviving where you were at before. How do you get out of survival mode or protection mode and instead become open so that you can just take in everything, and then just, you're at a place where you can build relationships, and those relationships can change your life forever, because college isn't just about learning, it's about creating relationships that you will have forever. Um, do you guys have lots of like group projects? Or what can you say like what are like is there such thing as a typical class at MIT? Like how big are they, or how small? Is it different in, freshman year versus junior year? Can you tell us more of that?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely different depending on like year as well as like major are like the two
Mhm.
big ones. So freshman year, you're gonna come in and you're taking mostly what are called GIRs or General Institute Requirements, and
Mhm.
in those classes, that's where you'd expect like the large lecture hall. There's probably like 300 students enrolled in the same course as you, but that's just because everybody in your 1,000 person class has to take that same class, like same
Mhm.
requirement. And then as you get further into whatever major you decide to go into, the classes definitely get smaller. There, I think actually, like as the classes get smaller, there tends to be more group work because there's like, I guess, more
Mhm.
ability to one trust, but then also like actually advise a reasonable amount of groups on the teaching staff side. And
Mhm.
yeah, like specifically within mechanical engineering, I think they also tend to have more group projects compared to like coding. They want to see if you can like code yourself, and like there's the issue of
Mhm.
cheating if you don't do it yourself. And so I think it lends itself, I think, more easily to those group projects.
Mm, okay. I know as we wrap up, you do have, content that you produce. Where can people find you online? Yes. Tell them. Tell the people.
Yeah. So you can find me at rstephen.04 on Instagram, on YouTube as well, and on TikTok, it's rstephen_04. And other than that, if you would like to contact me through email, it is info@rstephen.com.
Okay. And then lastly, I would like to say, what do you want to tell the people? What do you want to leave the people with?
The magic you seek lies in the work you're avoiding. That's like a quote I've been trying to remind myself of very often. I think there's a tendency to try to like skip to the end or like focus on the destination, but I think it's really important that one also learns to love the process. And so, yeah, the magic you seek lies in the work you're avoiding.
Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye.